Bitcoin, pump. Altcoins, pump. I've been preparing for this. Can't nobody tell me nothing. Bitcoin, pump. Altcoins, pump. I've been preparing for this. Can't nobody tell me nothing. Bitcoin, pump. Altcoins, pump. I've been preparing for this. Can't nobody tell me nothing. Bitcoin, pump. Altcoins, pump. I've been preparing for this. Can't nobody tell me nothing. SEC and its policies rely on whatever Gary thinks. Bitcoin's a flight to quality. I heard that from Larry Fink. Every hour losing purchasing power on foolish shouting. It's not our fault. Blame the coal. It's the political cowards. When it comes to gas, our purchasing power just got cut in half. I sit back and laugh, open my bag, fill it with stacks and sats. Bitcoin, pumping. Altcoins, pumping. I've been preparing for this. Can't tell me nothing.
And I believe crypto will play that type of role as a flight to quality. We're hearing from clients around the world.
Bitcoin, pump. Altcoins, pumping. I've been preparing for this.
And I believe crypto will play that type of role as
Bitcoin, pumping. Altcoin, pumping.
we are hearing from clients around the world.
Can't nobody tell me nothing.
Crypto, depending on how you think about it. And I believe crypto will play that type of role as a
Can't nobody tell me nothing. Bitcoin, pump.
We are hearing from clients around the world.
Bitcoin still holding at key levels. Are we going to see a move down to 91K, or is this about to break out? Altcoins also stacking up, looking like they want to make a move. Institutions are stacking like we've never seen. Whales stacking in. What are we doing right now? This market's about to rip. Let's go. Good morning, good afternoon, good night, wherever you're tuned in from. I had an absolutely fantastic weekend. I hope you all had a wonderful weekend as well. We had a lot of things happen this weekend. Or did the price just actually sit about where it has been? We got a lot of things that we're looking forward to this week. We even got some good news for XRP. We see BitTensor Tau still making some moves. We're seeing Bitcoin hold up in absolutely critical zones right now, right on the top side of this range that we've had pulled out. I just want you to notice, look at where the price action had a little bit of a sort of bumped its head up against this green range that we've had drawn out. Drew this out over the last few weeks, looking at this on a number of different charts. We've had this drawn out, but just notice that the Bitcoin price has literally just sort of hit its head right up against that green wall right there, and then sliced all the way up to the top side of this green wall, right in the zone. Are we looking for another move back to the downside with all of the liquidity that we could see below us down in here? Do we need to clear some of this out? Are we going to see Bitcoin's price action actually flush all this out, just absolutely trapping bears and fleshing out these over-leveraged bulls to clear this out before we move to the upside? The question is, what are you doing about it? Let's make sure we're stacking in, because the move of our lives is right around the corner, and we need to make sure that we do not mess this up, because we're seeing overwhelming data showing that institutions are absolutely stacking in. Whales, those big money players, the big money Bitcoin holders, are stacking in. In fact, it's not just let's look at the price action. We also know that Michael Saylor also just announced he did another over $1.4 billion Bitcoin purchase over the last few days. Of course, they do that OTC primarily, and that was about over 15,000 more Bitcoin. 15,000 Bitcoin in one fell swoop. And what does that mean for the rest of the market? Are we starting to see signs that it's not just MicroStrategy? Are we starting to see institutions also use MicroStrategy to get their exposure to Bitcoin? We have to talk about these markets because it's feeling good. We've got 400 or 500 people in here now. I know we're going to have a couple more 1,000 people tune in. So shout out to each and every one of you. I hope you're doing well. Hope you're feeling well. Hope you're starting this day in gratitude for yourself, for the people in your life, for your breath, for your heart, for your arms, for your fingers, for your ability to be ahead of over 7 billion people on this planet. This is the trend of the future. And what is that? That's blockchain. That's Bitcoin. That's crypto. Unfortunately, most are going to fail. Most people are going to fail, and most altcoins are going to fail. How do you figure out what coins to be stacking into, what strategies to use, and how to make sure that you're staying on the right side of the trends? Because even some of the coins that I'm holding now, I'm sure at some point are probably going to fail. So why would I stack into those coins? Because as we're looking at the markets right now, In some ways, you want to look to the future, 4, 5, 8, 12 years out. And at the same time, some plays that you're making are just for this trend cycle. So making sure that you can stack in a smart and responsible way so you can ride those gains in those assets that you do think are going to carry a bit of a narrative in the market. But Bitcoin's got to be that anchor in your portfolio. But let's go ahead and dive into some of the things we want to talk about here, because we got a lot of things going on. We got the total crypto market cap is now pushing up near $3 trillion. 2.97. It was at 2.99 earlier. In fact, over the weekend, I think it did just tick right up above and over this. If we actually zoom into this, we can see this right here. Look at this, tapped right at that $2 trillion mark before getting a slight rejection. Now, this is, of course, an aggregate of every crypto out there. Every Bitcoin, there's only one Bitcoin. Every altcoin, every microcap, every altcoin, every stablecoin, every token in the crypto ecosystem. This just shows the total amount of money and value that's in those assets. This is bumped its head right up against that $3 trillion mark. And yes, we did break beyond the $3 trillion mark. In fact, we rejected at it right here in this previous cycle, 2021. But when we look at what's going on here, look at this. This got up to 3.71 trillion. So it's not like 3 trillion is going to be the absolute barrier for further prices, but it's an area that we really need to pay attention to, because the market, while we want this to push up, I do think there's still a little bit of work to do. When we look at the price action, look at this red line I drew here with the pot. And this was before this happened. We talked about a little push up, a likely retest on this gray line that we've had here for quite some time. And that's exactly what we did. We came down, tapped this, tested this as support and pushed it higher. But this is starting to look very much like the start. If we go smaller time frames, look at this on the 1 hour. What does this look like? This is a head and shoulders pattern. A head and shoulders pattern would be the shoulder, the head, and the shoulder. So we had the bulls tried, they failed. The bears brought it back. The bulls tried again a little bit higher, it failed, came right back to the same level. The bulls tried again, but now the bulls have less strength. This is starting to show in the near term, in the short term, that we might be looking for another test back down to this level. And on the bounce here, if we get one, we want to watch if we lose this, where are we coming? I'm thinking we're going to be potentially down to 88.7, but I'd be looking at something a little, I'd be looking, where was I seeing? Just a little bit higher in basically somewhere in this range is, 91.8. This is where I'm watching, right at 92. And if it loses that, then I'm looking at the price action coming down to test these previous range highs, which is essentially right here at 88.5. Now, if I'm so bullish, then why would I be looking to a price that's to the downside? Because prices don't just go up. I don't care if it's Bitcoin, Nvidia, Apple, anything. No price just does this. No price. We want to look for opportunities on this. If it was zoomed way out, even if the assets do trend up and to the right, when you zoom in, what you'll see is price up, a little down, oh, a little up, a little down, oh, washout, down. But you get this chop along the way. Essentially, what you're really looking for is a rise, retrace, continuation. Now, this looks very simplified, but understanding that you're going to have some downtrending on a short-term time basis on the way to the upside allows you, one, to de-risk from your stress in the markets, so you can understand that you're expecting to have some pullbacks, but also this gives you opportunities if you are forward-looking in the larger trend, looking for higher prices, then this gives you great opportunities to stack more into positions, whether it's Bitcoin, Avalanche, Cardano, Injective, Ondo, Tau, Arrow, doesn't matter what the coin is, all markets and all trends do those same price action structures. So similar here on the macro, we're seeing rise, retrace, continuation. Oh, but this gets a little bit of a fail. Chop, 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 rise, retrace, continuation. Bear market, also known as a larger macro retrace. And then God dang it. Then what do we got? We have the price action on the retrace, continuation to the upside. So we're getting rise, retrace, continuation, retrace, continuation, retrace, continuation, retrace, continuation, retrace. Are we going to get the continuation, or are we actually getting a trend reversal to the downside? Considering how many overwhelmingly bullish things that are stacked up in favor of Bitcoin and the fact that Bitcoin just entered the world stage, the question is, would you really be expecting a massive downtrend right now when the race for Bitcoin literally just entered the world stage and we're seeing the capital available getting moved towards adding as much Bitcoin as possible. In fact, there's a vote today in Arizona of whether or not they're going to do the final vote to pass a strategic Bitcoin reserve. That will start a domino effect like you would not believe on the state level here in the United States with state level strategic Bitcoin reserves. I believe New Hampshire and Texas is just behind Arizona in the next votes up over the coming days or weeks for them as well to move on this and start getting their strategic Bitcoins in order. But the point here is it's not just states. We also have a massive number of institutions that have been stacking in to Bitcoin already as it is. So I don't know why I'm so low on the screen. Let me sit up with good posture here because we got to talk about it. Most undervalued interoperable project. I don't know what you're talking about. Casper Network. Well, shout out to Casper Network. Granny's Garden, how you doing? Alexandra G. Jason Rohde, how you doing? Nice to see your name in here again. We got, I thought it said Barbecue Puma. Barbaric Puma. One House Productions. Mary Herbert. How's everybody doing? Did you have a good weekend? Got about 1,000 people in here right now. If this is your first time here on the BitLab Academy stream, welcome to the family. My name's Kelly Kellam. Shout out to our channel partners, LBank and Arculus. I hope you're all having a wonderful, wonderful day. Let's get into some of the news that we want to talk about. I believe, I didn't get a confirmation, but usually on Mondays we have Matthew Hyland, this fine gentleman right here, and Kevin Svensson join us on Mondays. So he should be joining us here in a little bit. If he wakes up, I know he stays up late at night. It's early because he's an hour or two back, but he should be popping on here. And then, of course, we got Kevin Svensson, both absolute chart whizzes. I'm sure many of you have seen their charts. For those of you that are new here, those of you that watch here regularly, you know our boys. So we'll see if they pop on here. If they do, I'll pull them up on stage. But let's go ahead and go through some of the other things going on in the market because we're seeing some ups, we're seeing some downs, we're seeing some chops. It's all setting up for better market structure here. We got Deep Book up 21%, Virtuals up 20%, Flare up 16%, Monero, part of a bit of a debacle here with about 3,500 Bitcoin. I think it was over $300 million in Bitcoin was stolen or hacked, and then it was run through Monero, which drove basically Monero's price up about 40 or 50%. And now, still up over almost 23% in the last 7 days, but up 14% still. We can see the little blip here. Bloop. That is when that happened. We're also seeing a little bit of downside action here. ASI down 5%, Helium down 4.5%, Bitcoin SV. It's not a coin I'd ever be interested in trading, but 4.47. Brett, Meme Coin, Athena, Stacks. Also, they've got some big things they're doing with Asian initiatives right now for stacking Bitcoin. So it's something to keep an eye on there. I do think that the Bitcoin narrative for Bitcoin DeFi will still open back up here again. A little bit of resurgence there. Pi down 2.6, Kaya down 2.6. We're seeing a mixed bag here, but let's get into one of the stuff that we want to see. What are we seeing when equities are crushed? And I signaled this on my charts also here on the BitLab Academy live stream, as well as on my Twitter. And that is when those VIX peaks, volatility index, has to do with the stock market, has all very regularly, overwhelmingly regularly shown great opportunities for buying opportunities in the market. When there's a lot of fear, essentially, it's another way to measure fear and volatility. It tends to mark great opportunities for stacking. So when equities are crushed, the VIX spikes and cash piles up, it's usually the perfect time to buy Bitcoin. It's crazy how these things line up. It's not just me saying it. It's not just crypto folks, but it's also other people in other aspects of the market. So we have to understand that there are data signals out there beyond looking at the price and being excited or sad about price go high, price go low. Who gives a shit about what the price is? What do the data signals say outside, beyond what we're seeing when we're just looking at price? What do the signals say? Especially here. One of the things we can look at here, if you look at on the sort of midterm macro, because this is looking all the way back here till December 2022. But look at this high here, and then look at this high right here. There was a pretty obvious bearish divergence coming into this right here. Lower highs on the RSI while much higher highs on the price. And it gave us that opportunity, that signal for the price to come back and test their previous range high. There's such overwhelming bullish structure that we're seeing in this that it still blows me away that people were so bearish on this pullback, even up here. It's a double top. It's over. The market cycle's over. Meanwhile, we have the institutions, corporations, states. I mean, the amount of money that is just now getting positioned to get allocated in this market, in a market that has a fixed total supply. And you can't wait for this to come back and test a previous range high, much like it did here. Comes down, where did it test? Previous range high. Okay, where did it come down here? Oh, it came down, where did it test? Previous range high. This is something that you see rinse and repeat here in not just Bitcoin, in every single asset class. And it's just, in this case, very overwhelmingly regular to see and almost expected. You want that market structure, building the stair step on the way up. Step up, a little bit of step back, step up. We had a large shelf here of this price action consolidating at this previous all-time high range and below, testing previous range highs. So things are looking good. We have the VIX also with that scare from all the tariffs and everybody de-risking in the near term and the market pulling back and it's all over. Turns out it was also more likely than not just a great buy signal, much like we saw in March of 2020. Looking at this right here, oh my God, it's so scary. And look at this. This actually proved to be an incredible buying opportunity. So coming back over, what else we got? We got some other things that we got to look at today as well. The USDT dominance. What is this? A bunch of acronyms, a bunch of words. What does it matter? The US dollar tether, basically tether, USDT, the dominance, how much of its market cap, what does it look like in relationship to the rest of the crypto ecosystem? So USDT dominance, we're getting these tops, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These have all marked a large, basically in this case, it was 2 large drop. Okay, large drop. Is this setting up for another large drop? Because this is also, look at this correlation between what's happening with Bitcoin price. These drops have correlated also along the way with great opportunities for price action on Bitcoin to rise as well. Now, this isn't going to be a direct signal for the buy, like this happens, so I buy. No, you're looking at this signal in conjunction when we're looking at the VIX, when we're looking at RSI, we're looking at the MACD, and understanding all these things tie together to build the ingredients of, am I bullish because there's overwhelming evidence in this direction, or am I bullish because I'm biased? Same thing with being bearish. In this case, this does look like the USDT dominance is in a downtrend. And if this is going to get that next leg to the downside, it's only going to be more fuel for the fire, AKA light these bulls on fire to get that pump to the upside. So the question to you is, what are you doing about it? Are you stacking? Are you jumping out of the market because you're tired and you're frustrated? Are you going to let this opportunity leave you by because you can't get your emotions in check? I'm looking at the data. I'm looking at the landscape. I'm looking at the context, looking at where we're at in this market cycle. And I say, how could you ignore the signs and signals that are here that say bullish, higher, longer, buy, stack, hold, and just share the gratitude with your friends and family and be patient when you need to. That's what we're seeing right now. But we got a good number of people in the room right now, about 1,400 people. I hope you're all doing well. Make sure, by the way, shout out to Rumble, shout out to YouTube, shout out to X, wherever you are watching. We are live right now. We are live right now here on Rumble. Make sure when you're watching here that you hit that follow button, hit that like button, show some love here, get involved, get in the live chat. How you all doing? How you all doing? Make sure you're getting active. I can see all y'all's comments up here on my screen as well. We're also live, of course, over here on YouTube. Make sure you're hitting that like button. Make sure it says subscribed right here. Click this little arrow. Ding that little bell, gets you notifications. I had some great shorts that went out this weekend as well. And if you want to sign up to be in the $13,000 in bonuses competition, that link is pinned at the top right here in Rumble. It's also pinned at the top right here in YouTube. Just click on that. You see there's a link, and it's also right here directly below on Rumble and YouTube in the description. Trade with us on LBank, $13,000 in bonuses. If you click on that link, you sign up through our link. Make sure that you click after you create an account, log in, then click right here to register to participate in $13,000 in bonuses. Also, make sure we're about to go through a lot more data, a lot more charts, some TA. We got Matthew Hyland and Kevin Svensson should be coming on here in a moment, but we also just want to make sure you're protecting yourself, protect your crypto, protect your future. Head over to getarculus.com. Again, that is getarculus.com. Use code BitLab, BITLAB 20, BitLab 20 for 20% off. Protect your crypto, protect your future. Now, what else we got? We got other great news. It's not just price action. It's not just RSI and stochastics. we're also looking the whales, old whales versus new whales. This shows unequivocally that there are a whole new stage that's been set for Bitcoin that is reaching new people, new whales in blue, just stacking in so ferociously at this level. Whales don't move huge money into something only to be short-term trading it back and forth. This is building a platform for this next epoch of Bitcoin that we've stepped into following January 11th. Was it 2023? When was it 2024? January 11th, 2024, when the Bitcoin ETFs went live. And now we have an administration that's fully in support of Bitcoin and crypto in general, but Bitcoin specifically. Strategic Bitcoin reserves on state levels getting voted on across the US, as well as a national strategic Bitcoin reserve, as well as sovereign wealth funds buying Bitcoin across the world, as well as so many other things. We're seeing the platform for what is to come. I don't think these microstructures are going to look like this in the price action moving forward. I think we're going to be seeing it a lot more balanced on the way up, stair-stepping with some periods of time like we saw last cycle with 7 months sideways that just really frustrated the shit out of people because everybody's expecting these massive parabolas each time. What if it's just an extended parabola that just continues to persist to the upside and sometimes has sideways action? Every once in a while, we get a 35, maybe a 40% that just crushes the spirits of all these new market participants. I don't think we're getting 80% to the downside. I don't think we're getting 77% to the downside, both of which we've seen in previous bear market cycles. I don't think we're really going to get probably many 50% moves to the downside. I think we're going to be in that 20 to 38, 40% move to the downside. But all we can do right now is stack, hold on to our butts, because this market is about to get very exciting, because it's not just states and sovereign wealth funds, MicroStrategy. What else we got? We have signals like the short-term holder cost basis resetting like we've seen before the next major move. This is that 7 months that we saw price action chopping sideways, but the RSI, sorry, the stochastic, the short-term holder cost basis, I could talk, reset all the way back down here. In this case, what am I talking about? This is the how far the price is above the short-term holder realized price. All those coins that have moved. The average price of all the coins that have moved, that have been held less than 155 days. So the weak hands or the traders. And this has come down into this negative zone before the move to the upside. Same thing, kind of resetting. Are we about to get that next move? Well, what would drive that? Well, here's Mark Yusko right here. This is actually from about a year ago on our channel, but he just had some great things to say about is Bitcoin price high? This is as relevant now as it is then when he was talking about it at 70,000. Let me see.
That said, those of us in the institutional world look at Bitcoin and understand that it is the most secure network the world has ever seen. It is where I do believe all things of value will eventually settle to that chain. The Mona Lisa will settle to that chain. You know, my PFP is going to settle to that chain. Things of value, and mine's not as valuable as the Mona Lisa, but my point is, anything that you think has value, you're going to want to settle to the most secure chain.
I mean, this is not just an individual that's in Bitcoin. He's also a traditional finance institutional guy. He's the CEO of Morgan Creek Capital. You know, he's gone with Pomp, Anthony Pompliano, to go and, you know, basically orange pill other institutions, as well as having their own strategies that they're doing. He's also involved with what's going on with Metaplanet. The institutions do have people in them beyond people like Michael Saylor, other people that are actively in the space that are orange pilling the hell out of all these companies and institutions, talking about strategic Bitcoin reserves on a corporate level, which is not just because, you know, oh, we have ETFs. Oh, we have a new administration. Oh, it's also the world is waking up to all the misinformation that was out there about Bitcoin and about crypto and about all this stuff prior to this administration, but also just the math involved. Guys, the world is waking up, and it's not just him saying this. We also see Vanguard, who's very famously stayed out of the Bitcoin ETF realm. Now, Vanguard and State Street and BlackRock, they're all kind of tied together at the hip, but Vanguard kind of went their own route in terms of getting Bitcoin exposure and being very vocally against it. Yet here they go. We don't buy Bitcoin. We don't support Bitcoin, but they just bought $200 million worth of MicroStrategy stock, getting indirect, direct Bitcoin exposure. And this is going to be the persistent trend. Every institution that will persist into the future will have Bitcoin exposure, whether it's directly through an ETF, whether it's self-custodying, or whether it's getting a proxy exposure through something like Strategy or Metaplanet or GameStop or similar scientific. The strategy here is going to be, how do I not let my dollars get devalued anymore? Whether or not that's even the case, okay, when you start looking at these stock prices of these corporations that have taken on a Bitcoin strategy and realized not only did it protect their dollar valuations of their assets, but it also has exponentially increased the valuations of those companies, because an underlying asset that they have on their balance sheets is now also growing exponentially. So you're getting the proxy speculation of your stock, but also getting the rising increase of that underlying Bitcoin asset. This is going to be the strategy, especially I think the trend over the next 2 to 3 years, of seeing these dominoes fall in favor of protecting their assets and also expanding their viability into the future. That's what buying Bitcoin does. It's not, hey, I'm going to go buy this tech thing. No, you are literally expanding your viability into the future. You're protecting your future quite literally by holding Bitcoin. And by not holding Bitcoin, you are destroying opportunities that you do not yet even know that could be possible. That's what people are starting to realize when we see this. So this is going to be a persistent thing as we move forward and look at what's going to happen, because it's not just them. We also see the changing landscape of the S&P 500. The S&P 500 has seen 2% move in either direction on 23% of the trading days, or at least once a week so far this year. This year has been one of the most volatile years in history. I thought the argument that Bitcoin was volatile. These times have changed, everybody. And not only are we seeing more volatility in the stock market, we're also seeing a deeper, safer, entrenched narrative of Bitcoin on the world stage. So, and it's not just, as we mentioned, Similar Scientific, Metaplanet, GameStop, MicroStrategy. It's not just those companies, because we also see right here, Bitwise, the CEO, reveals what is driving Bitcoin's surge. Well, Bitcoin's price surge has been largely institutional driven, while retail is crying like babies, waiting for the price to go so freaking high to buy a top and then complain why this is a scam. No, you got to look where the money's flowing. You got to look where the intention is going from the biggest players in the history of any business and corporation ever. BlackRock, Fidelity, the two largest asset managers that have ever existed, and the tens, BlackRock's over 11 trillion or something like that. Fidelity's over 5-something trillion. But it's not just them. We're seeing major corporations get active in this. And wait till you see every one of the oil producers out there utilizing Bitcoin mining on their excess energy to basically save that excess energy and translate it into storable value. Guys, we are not bullish enough. And then we see right here, same thing. This is from Bitwise Europe. Look at this. This 746,302 Bitcoin held by global corporations. Look at this increase from 2023. This has gone parabolic in terms of corporate stacking. So what are we to do about it? Well, let's ask our good friend here, who is an absolute bear on this market. He thinks it's going to zero. And that's our guy right here, Mr. Matthew Hyland. How you doing, my good friend?
What's up, man? Does it sound good?
Yeah, you sound good. Did you just wake up?
What's that?
Did you just wake up?
Yeah, actually I did.
So what are you seeing on the charts today, my friend?
If we go to the Bitcoin chart, the weekly close last night closed above this resistance box that we had drawn out for a while. And in my opinion, the bulls have retaken control. There was a lot of reply guys on Twitter last night, actually, that were trying to say that no, this isn't bullish, that it needs to close higher. I mean, it tested this area. Let me remove the RSI. it tested this area as support. It wicked down here all these times, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then up here, this was once when we went below, this was like resistance. So we retested this area as support up here 9 times, rejected against it a few times. If you move this box down, right, it got through all this regardless. So to me, the bulls are back in control right now. You're seeing a lot of lower cap alts currently completely fly. And if we were in an extremely bearish environment, I mean, I don't think we would see that. We obviously had been in an extremely bearish environment since the start of the year, but we're now seeing a lot of alts make higher highs against Bitcoin. And you typically don't see that in a bear market, right? It just doesn't happen. From January till April, really, we didn't see that at all. Every alt was in a downtrend against Bitcoin. So to me, we're seeing Bitcoin move up, break through major resistance. We're seeing low cap alts move up against Bitcoin. It's just something you see in a more bullish environment, in my opinion. So the bearish side, right? Maybe we come back down here. If you look at this on the daily time frame, maybe at some point we retest this breakout. I would actually say that that is kind of favorable, or it is probably bound to happen at some point. The question for me is, if you look at this structure, typically after a pretty decent size moves up, if it starts to consolidate, it means it probably wants to continue higher. Usually when you consolidate after a move up, it leads to a continuation. We've been consolidating here since really last Tuesday. So this move happened last Tuesday, this big move up. So the last 6 days now, we've just been kind of chopping, kind of slowly moving up. But overall, just a consolidation. So I actually think it's more favorable that this will actually probably continue, and then maybe from there come back down and then retest a slower area. As long as we continue to close above this on the weekly time frame, I think we are fine. Maybe we get a candle like this at some point where we wick down to this support/resistance area and then end up bouncing out of it. But the bulls are back in control here. That's really like the bottom line at the end of the day. The Bitcoin bulls have retaken control, they have reclaimed this breakdown and have reclaimed this major area of support here. And if we go to the stock market, we'll just take a look at that. I think the stocks are down. Let me see. The S&P 500. The S&P 500 last week reclaimed this breakdown as well, currently trading below it. Not surprising. Would want to see weeklies continue to close above this on the S&P 500. But regardless of the S&P 500, Bitcoin looks good, right? So Bitcoin looks good. A lot of the alts moving up. So I think that this space, at least for now, right, is probably in a position where you should expect upside more likely than downside now. It's just a change of structure once again. And we haven't had this since way back here when we broke upward. We were consolidating here and then we broke upward. Same thing, broke upward. I think we'll get a push of these upper ranges at some point in the future.
Yeah, I like that. So what are you seeing? Because we also saw, I'd love to get your take on a couple of the altcoins out there, because we did see some news over the weekend that potentially there could be an XRP ETF that goes live. Whether you like, and I said this, whether you like XRP or not, this is a further signal of the new government regulator stance. Forward progress for crypto, so much more to come, blah, blah, blah. But what does this mean? What does this mean for XRP? Well, let's ignore the news. What are you seeing on the XRP chart?
Yeah, let's just go to XRP. Let's see. I have it somewhere. Hold up, you know what? Let's add it right here. XRP USD. Bitstamp probably has a lot of price history, so we'll use that one. Let me kind of clean this up a little bit. To me, XRP, it's the same thing as what we're seeing with Bitcoin on the smaller time frame, but XRP on the weekly time frame. Big move up. You're seeing a consolidation. And really, if you look at this, there was two ways to look at this. Either this could have been a head and shoulders pattern, which it could still be, or it's kind of shaping up now as a bull flag. This looks like a bull flag. Oops, I don't know how that happened. This looks like a bull flag or something, or some sort of pennant or just a consolidation, right? So we had this huge move up, consolidating these gains. I would think XRP, if it wanted to continue this, these prices might be quite high. Not sure if it would get up there, but $10, $11, $12, that would be like the area for the next move if it broke higher. It seems, I mean, the chart overall consolidating on this breakout area, consolidating after a move up. I think that ETF news was more of a futures ETF, but I really don't have any doubt at this point that XRP will probably get an ETF this year. It seems like XRP is probably the next one in line, probably with like Solana, uh, Cardano. I think we're just almost waiting at this point. Um, they changed the SEC, or they approved the new SEC chair, I think a week or so ago. So the changes have been kind of slower than I thought they would have been, but they're still definitely doing them. They dropped all the lawsuits against most of the crypto companies and whatnot. So we're seeing all the changes made. We're seeing them kind of, you know, prepare or get ready for the future changes. I believe Ondo last week as well met with the SEC. I'm not sure if you saw that.
Yeah,
Ondo,
absolutely.
and we've discussed this in the past, and people, I mean, if you look at the Ethereum chart, it's obviously just not pretty at all. It needs a catalyst, and to me, it might have that catalyst with the RWA stuff, but we just like don't know. We don't know if that's going to happen. We don't know if it's going to happen on Ethereum. I would think it's likely to happen on Ethereum. There's a few things going on, like with Ondo and BlackRock, and then them meeting with the SEC. And I actually, and this is more of like, I was talking with Kevin the other night. The timing of Mantra going down was kind of interesting, right? So Mantra went down like what, 2 weeks ago, and Mantra is really Ondo's main competition for RWA. So it is interesting. Ondo goes, or Mantra went down 95%. If you look at the chart, let me see if I can find it. Um, Mantra went down 95%, I believe. And then this was on what date? What is this was like 2 weeks ago. So beginning of April, Mantra goes down. Then Ondo last week met with the SEC. So the way I'm looking at this, and then Ondo or Mantra also stated that they didn't rug. There was some liquidations on exchanges that caused this entire sell-off within an hour. If you put together are you putting together what I'm trying to say, or
Yeah, I'm doing that while
I'm
also
trying. What
reading
I'm
chat.
trying to say is I don't have any. I have no way to prove it, obviously. But BlackRock, working with Ondo, wants to tokenize the entire stock market at some point. They would want to kill their competition. That's what I'm trying to get at. So it's interesting that this just drops, and then even Mantra came out and said immediately after that this was not a rug. This was liquidations on exchanges that caused this. So someone out there set out to crush Mantra, and who else would it be
Yeah,
other than
I interviewed JP, who's the CEO of Mantra, on Mario Nawfal's channel, and he kind of broke down at length because there's a lot of, everybody jumps to say, oh, the team rugged, oh, you guys sold, and they weren't tied in. Like, from all the data, it shows that hadn't really nothing to do with them. Now, could things have been done a little differently? I think every chain is susceptible to having outside players, trigger sort of cascading liquidations. But it also begs the question, were things a little overvalued? But then that was a pretty darn big sell to trigger that sort of just absolute
yeah.
falling off of a cliff. So that would be interesting. Did
There's no
OWN
way
get liquidated by their competition from
BlackRock.
BlackRock? Yeah, that's a
It
good
wouldn't,
question.
and it wouldn't have been directly BlackRock. They would, because this is like really like market manipulation. If that was the case, so there would be like legal ramifications probably. But there's ways for them to do it, like third parties. There was an entity that did this. This wasn't just a few people that were shorting it and they just happened to wreck the chart. This was large money that completely just took this whole project down. And Mantra was Ondo's number one competition, and now it's basically, I mean, I'm not gonna say it's dead, but like I don't really know. Like, this is like super damaging, right? When investors lose 95% within hours. And if you look at this chart too, I mean, this looks like it's just like it's probably, it looks like it's just getting ready to go lower. This looks like a triangle, the ascending or descending triangle, ascending. I always get them confused. Ascending triangle. This would be. This looks like it wants to just
A flat bottom with a descending resistance is a descending triangle.
descending triangle. Yeah, my brain's just not working today. But yeah, this looks like it's just kind of, sitting on the support, probably going to go lower. But yeah, Ondo, and the thing with Ondo, and tokenizing, if we go to the Ondo chart, let's pull this up. This is like a clean chart, higher highs, higher lows. Tokenizing stocks on Ethereum or any sort of chain is like major, major stuff. This would this would bring so much like liquidity if this were to ever play out. I don't think it would happen overnight. It's just not something that we're just gonna wake up tomorrow and it's just like, oh yeah, BlackRock or whatever, they're gonna tokenize the whole stock market. But if you're talking about trillions and trillions of dollars being moved on chain, that would finally give Ethereum a catalyst. And I'm actually under the belief that it won't be just one chain. I think it will be multi-chain. I think Ethereum will actually be like the main chain, but I would think like Solana, and other chains as well will eventually. What's this on the side? People in the chat were saying they can't see me. That's
No,
weird.
they're talking about somebody else. I don't do bullshit drama. So sorry, guys.
All right. Anyway, yeah, that would be a major catalyst if like the U.S. stock market and bond market were to ever get moved on chain. You're talking at like $100 trillion of assets. That would just be massive for crypto. That would be like the biggest catalyst ever for crypto. If something like that were to happen, if the whole current financial system upgraded to the crypto, to blockchain, to Ethereum, etc., would be a major, major catalyst. It's not going to happen overnight. It will probably take, I would assume, 5-10 years to transition everything over. But like with anything, better technology usually wins out in the end. And there's many, many benefits of tokenizing everything. So it's probably just a matter of time. I know the NASDAQ was saying that next year, I believe, they want to go 24/7 with trading. Yeah, they want to go 24/7. They want to allow people to self-custody their stocks or have someone else custody. There's so many benefits. If you don't know the benefits, just like ask ChatGPT and just say, hey, what are the benefits of tokenizing stocks versus what we currently have? It saves them billions and billions of dollars. There's so much money that would be saved. It would be more efficient, faster, safer, 24/7. There's just so many things. It would just be a complete game changer. So it makes sense that eventually that would happen. So that's like really my thing for Ethereum, despite Ethereum being complete crap, really, for the past year or so. It might have a catalyst looming. It probably does, actually. If you just put it all together, Larry Fink said directly that he wants everything tokenized at some point. He directly said that they're working with Ondo. They have that BitLab program as well, where they have like $100 million, I believe, stable coins on Ethereum currently. So the signs are there. It's just it hasn't started yet. It hasn't happened yet. So it's just a waiting game at this point.
What do you have you been following any of the AI plays? Because obviously everything got so crushed, but Tao's looking pretty darn good on their
Yeah, so
sort of
did Tao.
resurgence. I added to my position on Saturday. I actually also picked up some Morpho. But yeah, let's look at Tao. And do you have any other coins on your radar we can go to after?
Yeah, we'll take a look at the AI stuff. Tao, major move up. Let me see. Do I have the Tao BTC chart? No. Let me load up Tau USD versus BTC USD. A lot of these charts, if you look at the BTC pairs, that's like kind of where like the juice kind of lies for some of them. Which one would have enough price history, you think? Mexi maybe?
Yeah.
We'll try that one. So yeah,
Oh
if you
yeah.
look at this, yeah, I would say this is a higher high right here. Because it made lower highs this whole way down. This is against Bitcoin, but we're seeing this go up against Bitcoin now. So if we measure this out, oops, let's see. And there's quite a few charts that are now making higher highs against Bitcoin. So this is up currently 71% against Bitcoin off of the lows. Clearly making some sort of higher high here. Let me go right here. Breaking through this resistance area. If it can get above this high up here, which would probably be like another sizable move, and make another higher high, I mean, this would be more convincing if it got above this area. Then this would probably run to the highs once again, I would think. A lot of charts are looking like this. Oh, let me move this over. A lot of these charts are looking like this. If you go to this is, I think, FET right here, so another AI play. Breaking up against Bitcoin, looks like a deviation, kind of making higher highs here, getting above these highs. So there's quite a few coins that are doing this currently. And last week it was interesting. Ethereum actually closed in the green against Bitcoin last week, but XRP closed in the red. So Bitcoin dominance actually went up last week, along with Ethereum BTC going up. If you go to Bitcoin dominance, it's hard to say. It's still in a major uptrend, so you just have to favor that this is going to continue up at some point. But most alt pairs are moving up against BTC now. So it's really because the larger coins, XRP and BTC essentially. So if I go to XRP, let me look up XRP BTC and see what that is doing or what it's been doing. It looks very similar to the USD chart, had this big move up. Let me go to the weekly time frame. Had this big move up, has been trending downward since really January. If this ever continued, then Bitcoin dominance would probably drop. When it made this move up last time, despite Ethereum going down against Bitcoin, XRP was going up against Bitcoin. XRP actually contributed to Bitcoin dominance going down largely. So yeah, XRP, it looks like it's bottomed against Bitcoin. This is a major area of resistance that if it ever got through, it would definitely get really interesting. If it
That would
got
be
through
so
this,
good.
yeah, if this got through this, and I mean, you could look at this and say, hey, maybe this is like a double bottom. Let me try to draw this out. Like bottom right here, came back down, made another bottom. And this goes all the way back to, I mean, this is back in like 2019 when it broke down into this range. Has been below it for the last 6 years now, actually. September, yeah, this is like July of 2019. So it's been below this range for 6 years. If this, if this broke out, I just want to measure this as well. I should probably measure it on non-logarithmic scale, but we'll just do this. It probably pushes it back to the high, I would think. Yeah, XRP would probably be looking to retest or come close to those all-time highs against Bitcoin if this moved up, right? We don't know if it's going to, but interesting chart. Definitely an interesting chart. If it got above this, I mean, you probably want to be holding some XRP. This would be, oh my God, this would be almost like
And
an
that's a move
8x.
against Bitcoin too. That's a
Yeah,
4 to 6x against your Bitcoin holdings, which is obviously made that would be an exponent, beyond that, looking on USD.
it would almost lead me to believe that either if Bitcoin, let's say, moved up 2x, and this means that this would go up 10x if it broke out, right? But it would almost lead me to believe that XRP, if Bitcoin went into a bear market or started going down, and this broke out, that XRP would really be able to like retain its USD price. Then that's what it would mean essentially. If it went up against Bitcoin while Bitcoin was going down, it would mean that the USD price probably wouldn't be as affected as much. So yeah, the XRP chart, XRP BTC, definitely interesting. I want to look at another one. Cardano has been interesting. I want to see, do I have ADA BTC? I do actually. Cardano BTC, this one moved up, but basically trending back down.
Got a pretty
Not,
giant descending broadening wedge too.
yeah, kind of, yeah, it does. This one not as convincing as the XRP chart, but it's still above where it was back in November. So Cardano and XRP are moving up or have moved up against Bitcoin since November, but Ethereum continued to move down. So Ethereum definitely is just like the one that has been like super slow here, considering its competitor, or not really competitors, but coins like in similar market cap range were able to kind of hold up and not go lower against Bitcoin, but Ethereum just continued to go lower. When I go back up to Bitcoin to see what it's doing, let's see. Yeah, this is consolidating, so this probably, I would think, usually when you see a consolidation after a move up, it favors continuation. You look at the 4-hour RSI as well. Looks like the 4-hour RSI is close to resetting this move completely. Let me remove
Oh,
this.
right above that, right at that 50 line too.
Yeah. So it's been like diverging regardless, because if you look at this low on the RSI, it's well below this while the price is still above, but it looks like it's going to reset this whole move here. It probably will come, this RSI will probably go down. So maybe this consolidates for a few more days. As it's been consolidating, the RSI has been going down. That's a good sign. Maybe it wants to get below this level that it was at before the move up, which we both tweeted about that, actually. Remember,
Yeah.
before our RSI that set up this move. Obviously, didn't know that was going to completely take off, but there was actually bullish divergence there on the 4-hour RSI at that time to set up the move upward, but it led to a massive move. But maybe it wants to go below that, and then we get that. So maybe this wants to just chop for a few more days, probably like 2-3 more days before then deciding to continue upward. But in the meantime, if it continues to chop sideways, then I think a lot of the alts will just continue to move upward. Let me go to, you know which one we'll cover? We'll cover dog.
Dude, yeah,
Dog.
let's look at some dog,
It
man.
might as well.
Dog.
It's been obviously went down like most memes, 90%, or most coins in general went down 80 to 90%. But it popped the other day, and if you just look at this chart, looks like a deviation, right? Broke below this area. Let me try to go to the 3-day time frame. Broke below this area, got scary, right? But reclaimed it. So that's a deviation. Also made a higher high. This was a high back here. TradingView has too many options. So broke above here, made a higher high. It had a daily candle where it closed up 35%. And I actually thought that this would have pulled back more by now and come back down to this 0.0022 level, kind of consolidating. So maybe it also wants to continue up higher before pulling back. A lot of these altcoins are getting above the longer term moving averages. I like the 43 and that 55, well above it now. So good sign. A lot of alts have this right now. They're all above these longer term moving averages. The only one that doesn't is Ethereum. Ethereum still, it got rejected off the 55 SMA. If it gets above that, then I think it will start to go, but it still continues to just be the one that doesn't like success. Look at Solana. Solana well above the 55 SMA, 43 SMA as well. So Solana's above it. Most alts are above it. Tau's probably above it. FET's above it. Everything's above it except for Ethereum.
Take a look at Caspa and then Arrow, and we can wrap this one out.
Sounds
Thank you,
good.
everybody. Everybody that is tuned in, I just want to shout out. Make sure you go and give Mr. Matthew Hyland a follow. He's over here at Matthew Hyland _. Make sure you're following him. He does updates on X and on YouTube. He's also got a Patreon. He's the one that shares these charts that you're seeing all over Twitter and that everybody else shares, because he really does. It's so simple, simple charts that deliver such great alpha. I really recommend giving him a follow. And also, if you're watching,
I try to
over on
leave
Rumble,
my bias out of it. No, as I
What's
say,
that?
I usually leave my the way my style is, I leave my bias, or I try to leave my bias out of it. I usually just post the charts and provide the data, and then it's up for interpretation.
Absolutely. Now, everybody, make sure you're following also on Rumble. Remember, we started this last week, and we already got we only have 47 followers, but this is in partnership with Rumble, so they are sending our stream out to a lot of people on their featured stuff. So if you are tuned in over there, make sure you're following, hitting the like button. If you're watching on YouTube, yeah, make sure you hit that subscribe button, baby. Hit that thumbs up. I'm going to throw it back over to you, my good friend.
All right, we'll look at the KOSPA chart. First thing you notice above the 43 and 55 SMA, this is, let me see, let me remove this now. This looks pretty decent. This was one of the charts that moved up a lot originally, then kind of went sideways for a while. Looks like a double bottom here, left bottom, right bottom. Maybe it retests this neckline around 83 cents and then continues higher, but this looks like it probably wants to get higher. The main resistance you would say is probably like right here. Let me see, kind of in this area about, if it can get through, what is this, 11 cents, surprisingly, 11 cents almost. If it can get through that area, probably will push back up. I would say probably to the highs once again. And this would probably be some sort of deviation just below. And then the other coin you said was, what was it?
Aerodrome. Arrow.
Oh,
AERO.
Yeah. Arrow. I like Arrow. I actually got me and Kevin were talking like Sunday night last week, I think, and it was like 40 cents. And I was like, yeah, I think Arrow, I know that you like it a lot. I've always discussed Arrow. I think it was undervalued at this price. It was like down here.
Dude, that looks just like the dog chart.
Yeah, it looks like dog actually. Very similar. They went down similar percentage. I think this went down like 85%, but same thing. Let me remove these. It broke down, reclaimed the breakdown. So that's like a deviation, explosive move upward. It does look very, very similar to dog. I think that the base chain, if the base chain does see a lot of success and whatnot, I think the Arrow will probably end up doing well. Maybe it comes back down. Maybe if we get like some sort of pullback, maybe it comes back down. If it did, down to like 0.46 or something, maybe even as low as 0.40. Once again, you never know. Crypto's volatile. That would definitely be the area to like, back the truck up. But yeah, this probably is going to at some point go back up to the highs, and then from there, it's a smaller market cap. It's only, I think, 500 million currently, I believe. So it could have a lot of moves. It's the number one DEX on base chain. So
well, not only is it the number one DEX on base chain, that the amount of volume that it does, like, kind of eclipses quite a few other chains. But it also, there's talks about foreign exchange being done through Arrow on base, but also all the Bitcoin DeFi stuff that they're doing, like Wrap Bitcoin and all that on base chain that Coinbase is doing, is all processed through Arrow. So I think there's going to be, I think Arrow's kind of set up in a nice situation, having Coinbase Ventures already invested like $100 million last year. I think it was like February last year in Arrow, and how much institutional money, the primary custodian for the Bitcoin ETFs here in the US, the majority of them, not all. But I mean, I think there's going to be, it's going to be exciting to see what happens with Arrow for sure. That's why it's for my alts, it's my third largest alt holding.
Yeah, I was going to say too, like BlackRock with the ETFs, Coinbase is their custodian. So you have like the BlackRock ties, and then you have like the stuff that BlackRock wants to do. They might, you never know, they might be moving into the base chain as well at some point. And if they do, then yeah, Aerodrome, definitely interesting.
But I'm excited. It's nice to have the markets waking up. My question for everybody that's tuned in right now, are you going to strap on your LPCs, your leather personnel carriers, your tennis shoes, or buy a plane ticket, or what? Are you going to come to the Bitcoin conference? Because Matthew will be there with me. So will Kevin. We got the whole Discover Crypto crew, Drew, TJ, DZ, Josh, all of us will be out there. We got a house that we're going to be doing some media stuff at. We're going to be live streaming also some of the stuff from the Sin City Crypto Studio, as well as what we're doing at the house. I'll be grilling out. We'll be hanging out. I hope to see many of you out there if you are going to be here. But I think that's all we got for today. Matt, you got any closing thoughts?
I would just say you have to shift your bias here to bullish. If you're still bearish, I think it's kind of like fighting the trend. Like we might get a pullback, but I think pullbacks are probably just more opportunities now. The only way to really shift this now for the bears would be to break back down this or break back below that major support level on the weekly time frame for Bitcoin. It lost 89K, then you'd have to shift bearish. But for now, you have to shift bullish, and it favors bullish price action. So we'll see what ends up happening. I think the FOMC is next. Is it next week or the following week? I think
It's
it's on.
May 7th.
So next week. Okay. So yeah, next week we have the FOMC. We'll see what happens with that. I'm sure we'll probably either go down into it or go up into it, something, and then we'll see volatility, and then we'll see what the Federal Reserve says.
I agree with that. I don't see anybody live that I can send you guys to. I see Tom Crown's got one coming up, so I'm going to redirect over to his. Go drop some BitLab love. Matthew, thank you for coming on. Always great to break down some charts with you. I know I get to help you have an early start to your week
Yeah.
on this Monday, but big love everybody out there. Make sure you're giving Matthew a follow at Matthew Highland _. It's 2 T's, Matthew Highland _. Shout out to Crypto Tony. I see you in here. James Simpson. No, we were not talking about Doge. We were talking about dog on Bitcoin. He and I are both part of the dog pack there. No paid KOLs. It's free, fair airdrop to everybody that was runes holders. Every token is out. There's no, inflation. That's why we're like, you know what? This has a Bitcoin standard. Let's play in the dog field. I also see you DeFi, crypto airdrops, Granny's Garden, Chewy, King Peasant, Sufficient Enough, Naughty Ways. We got so many people in here. Big love to each and every one of you. About 2,416 or so have tuned in. So we really do appreciate you. We will see you in the next one. That's all we got today, everybody. I love you. I appreciate you. Hit that like button on the way out and make sure you're following Matthew Highland as well. That's all we got, everybody. Adios, muchachos.
See you later, Kelly.